Alright, hello viewers. Today we are streaming / recording how to make a Laserstorm map with Tristan Chill. So, the main goal of making a map is to have two even sides, the red side and the blue side. I'm using the Laserstorm Warren, Ohio preset. Follow GE_Raptus on Twitch to see Laserstorm streams. There's my little promotional shout out. But so essentially the goal is have both sides have a pod run, defense, and finger, which the finger is more optional. You have 12 7 foots, 6 foots, 5 foots, 4 foots, 3 foots, and 10 2 foots. 1 4-block wide archway for each side. Pillars, which are this 1 block wide, but they're 8 feet tall. Barrels, which are 3 feet tall, 1 block wide, and your pods. I'm in the Warren preset. You can move the energizers around to make more space, which I like. As LSP, you can't. But let's get started. So the first thing I want to do is I want to think about how I'm gonna have the pod run exactly. And the defense setup. So let's say I maybe wanted to move the energizers out a block so that way there's a little more room. I preference to keep them even on both sides, but that's for you to decide. Okay. So now that we have that done, we can start building the map. So what I want to do for this one, I kind of want to have a pod run just going straight up on both sides, but I have a really large finger, if you get what I mean. So we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's never going to be even, essentially. It's always going to be one off, but it's whatever. Now we have 6 blocks here, so that means we can go out 6, which allows us to make a small pod run while having a good finger. So I'd like to start with the pod. Actually, no, we'll start with the finger so you can see how that's made. So we are going to use some probably 4 foots, 3 foots, less 5 foots, less 6 foots, and some 7 foots to make the finger. You can cycle the angle barrier. So what I'm going to start with, I'm going to do this on both sides. So I'm going to drag out 2. I'm going to put a 3 foot on the corner and cycle it a little slanted so that way you can target out the defense. So I'm going to do that on both sides, which this can get boring, so just bear with me. Now I see I have 4 blocks. 2 foot barriers are 1 block wide. Anything else is 2 blocks wide. And there's a lot of it, so I think we're going to go with 2 7 foots on the corner. Just like this. Perfect. And I think we're going to go with a 4 foot in the middle. Perfect. So now we have the basic necessities done for the finger. We'll add the middle barriers and stuff after we do the pod run, because that's kind of what you should do. But just work with me. So the pod, I'm thinking it's kind of just straight down. The green side being over up to the right and the red side being on this right. I mean, green's left, sorry. I screwed that up. But whatever. Red's on the right, green's on the left, blah, 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 you get it. So I think we're just going to split it down the middle if there even is one. Little uneven. Nah, whatever. Nothing's perfect. Wait a minute. Okay. I think what we're going to do We're gonna slide this over one. Because now think about it, we have 8 or 9 blocks wide, so we can just split it right down the middle. And to do that, I'd advise using 6 foot to start something taller so you're not like insta-formed. I'm going to start directly in the middle though. And the reason being, you should have smaller barriers near the pod so there's more chances to shoot the opponent out. Like typically I try and use a lot of 5 foots and 3 foots at the pod zone. And that's why I didn't use any 5s in the finger, so yeah. So one little problem I have with this is you only use 1 6 foot on this. So I'm actually going to slide this. How do I want to do this? Yeah, okay. I'll slide this up here so it's matching with that. Then I'll put another 6 foot right below it. Well, there's a 2 block space, so it's even on both of these. And then I actually kind of want to put a 4 foot there so you kind of have like a lane to fire through. But just do what you can on that. That would be my advice. So I'm trying to leave it as open as possible because I want this a little bigger than usual. Right now, 1, 2, 6, 7. Wait, I can't count. That's 7. Okay. Something's wrong there then, I think. Because there's 7 and 8. So we need to identify that problem. So if you look at my mouse, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But now we need to figure out why that is. Slid that over 1. This needs to be slid over 1. Did we maybe place this wrong? Did we inaccurately place this? No. It's none of that, actually. This should be out 1 more, but I cannot seem to figure out why, because it is even. So let's identify this. Or just work with it, because I'm not screwing around with this. You know what, at this point I don't even care. 7, 8, same thing. Let's just work with it. Might have to change it all around, so sorry for making you do that. We're going to use one of our 5 foots a little early on. And we're going to slant it right down there. So this way, now we have a 3 block gap to the Energizer. And essentially what we can do there, we can put a barrier slanted or something like that so we can curve the pod zone in here. So we're going to try that. I already see why I want to do this. I want to put 2 barrels right here because, oh, I just realized something. So there's only a 1 block space here and you always have to have 2. So we're going to have to push that up 1. And that's a move I don't necessarily like, but we're going to have to bear with it. I'm still placing that barrel there so we can just do that because it's a lot simpler. How do we only have 9 4 foot? Oh, because there's one in the middle. Okay, whatever. I don't think I've actually ever had that happen. Okay. Now we're at a low point, so we're going to have to use 3 foot so you can actually get shot at and you're not overpowered. So, basically, we can just pull the 3 foot down in a slant. And now doing that allows us to give players an open room to shoot, but there will be some coverage in here. Now, since it's coming off a 3 foot, I'm going to use the pillars only because using the pillars allows us to give them like a little more room to hide, I'd say. Yeah, I guess that's how you could put it. But this is coming along fine so far. I like it. I think we're gonna use a 2 more 4 foots. Now the reason I'm doing that is because coming off a barrel, you should have a 4 foot, so that way you can have like a 2 foot or something right next to it, but it's hanging in the air, so it's taller. So we're gonna rotate them straight down by cycling the angle. Put them here. Same goes for the other side. You always duplicate it. No, that doesn't make sense. This is there. This is here. But they're both 6 wide. So that's what I don't understand. It's like, what the heck? Because you have them evenly positioned. That is something that's going to make me confused. And I don't know what it is. But, once again, deal with it. Literally, I might just do nothing about it. I'm not even worried. I mean, you just have to work with it. And to make it so it's pretty much even, I'm just going to add a barrel here. Oh, I think I see what I did wrong. Actually, never mind. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That curves in, right? Yeah. Okay, so, whatever. So we're going to add a red pillar. And now that that's fulfilled, I would like to add barriers here so we can just angle the pod at a slant. Or actually, no, we won't even angle it at a slant. I know exactly what we'll do. We'll put a 7 foot. Maybe. Yeah, that works. We're gonna have the pod right here, I'm gonna say. So, yeah. Okay, that works. So, the green pod, since it's the one they're defending, you use the green pod, and that's the one red tagged. We're gonna put that right in the middle here. And I forgot it was only 2 blocks wide. So that's what we'll do, and then we'll copy it to the other side. And we'll put that in the exact same spot. Trying to like even it out here since they're already uneven. And then we'll take our 7 foot, cycle it downwards, put it where it needs to be. And it'd be illegal to fire over top of the pod, I think. So that's why we're just not going to do anything with it. But now we can kind of start working here. Notice how the back wall is at least 4 blocks. You should have that 4 to 5 blocks. Sides should be at least like 3. Anywhere else could be 2 or less. Like this little cubby's only 2. But it's fine. So, I think a strong move for the opening would be to put a 5 foot in here. So kind of like in the pod run. So if we put a 5 foot maybe right there next to that. I forgot this was uneven. That wouldn't be fair. So we'll just put a 2 foot there and just bear with it. I don't really think we're gonna do much from like anywhere inside here. Kind of think there's not anything we can do. I feel like the best we could do is put 2 more 5 foots. Because if we cycle them down and I'm going to put it right here, we're still following the 2 to 3 block gap rule while still being able to play amongst the barriers. Oh, did not mean to do that. Okay, so you can kind of play in this cubby too while being supported by Finger. That's what I like. But Finger is a little overpowered, I'll say that. But that could be a good thing. Who knows? Now we have to work on the back offense, which isn't too much of a problem usually. That's kind of way more simple. Just add a few barriers and pretty much bang, you're done. So we'll just add that behind the 5 foot, add that behind the 5 foot. And yeah, we're pretty much done there. That nothing else really matters. So, yep. Oh, I do see one little problem. This should be back. Okay, that's fine now. And now you kind of just work with it. So let's just add some barriers into the Finger here. Just do like 2 6 foots. And make a Finger a progressive Finger. Bang. Still following the 2 or 3 rule. The Finger at least is even on both sides, so that's fair. Perfect. Now we just gotta add some defensive walls and barriers and stuff like that. But we're almost finished. So I'm adding the 7 foots here because if you stand here and peek around, you can counterattack that 4 and 3. But if you're crouched on the 4, you can't hit it because it'll be firing in the 3 zone trying to get right here out. So yeah. I also think it's very useful though. It's kind of like an offensive support for anyone playing this 4 foot. But yeah, so now we just work with it. I feel like up here's pretty open. But it's kind of what are we supposed to do about it? It's just open. Just work with it. If you want to use up space, you can just use pillars. So that always works. I think what we're going to have to do though, we can... Yeah, we're just going to add some barriers back there just to enhance it and then just kind of go with it. So, we'll put a 4 foot 2 blocks back from the purple. So that way if someone fires down the 3 foot, there's a 4 foot covering. I also think we could put a barrier right here. And I think for that we'll use a 5 foot. Yeah, that's a nice connection off of it. And then you kind of just work around the rest, but there's not too much more to be placed. Didn't use a lot of 3 foots today, so I'm going to try and use a few more of them. Maybe like one right here for someone to crouch on. So the only reason I kind of thought of that, like, right now, because if you are someone like Ice, look him up on the Laser Storm stats. He'll kind of just, like, sit on a 3-foot. I'm playing with him for this regionals. And he'll try and fire in the zone, so you can kind of sit here and counterattack this 3 once you're back in. But I don't think I'm gonna add any more barriers because we kind of finished. The only thing I'm gonna really do is maybe add a few pillars. Because if you do that, it can just like waste space, and that's kind of what we need to do here. So we will put some pillars right here. And then, yeah, I guess. Congrats to us. We have made a Laser Storm map. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. This is LSP Chill, signing off.